Hi everyone. Often we of course look at current smartphones and review them and showcase how they perform. But when it comes to me, I often like to look a little bit back and see how an older flagship performs. And one of them is the OnePlus 10 Pro. So let's discuss the OnePlus 10 Pro and mainly the camera, because my channel is going to basically be mostly for photography, and then next to it talk a little bit about the performance as well. Now, when it comes to the camera setup itself, we get a 48 megapixel main camera with a 1/143 in sensor size, an 8 megapixel telephoto, and of course we get the ultra wide, which is a 50 megapixel sensor with a 2/7.6 in sensor size, which is perfectly fine for a phone that never was truly the high-end flagship, which is now something that you have to kind of consider. Like for instance Samsung, Xiaomi and so on, they released their ultra versions. Those are like the top dogs and you pay a lot more for them. And then you have devices like the OnePlus 10 Pro, OnePlus 11 that you pay a little bit less for, but also of course when it comes to the camera you just get that little bit less. Although with that being said, Samsung doesn't really do much with camera hardware anyway. Either way, the OnePlus 10 Pro, let's showcase results and let's take a little trip with the camera of it and see how it performs, because honestly with this camera and with this camera setup you can still take some excellent shots. Although I will say an 8 megapixel for a 3.3 times zoom isn't very impressive, but it still does decently well. But at the end it's still 8 megapixels. So the OnePlus 10 Pro, of course it's a little bit older and it's curious to see how it will perform in of course tests like dynamic range. Don't mind the lines on the screen, it's because of how I'm recording this with a phone and therefore you will have this. So here I'm trying to create that whole path moving into the river zone, and therefore of course having those trees as well, giving you a proper point of focus. It's a little bit hard of course filming and trying to take this shot, but you get the idea of what I'm trying to capture here. So here I'm trying to capture that shadow that goes over the path itself, allowing a bit of depth in the shot itself, and therefore also create like this whole home or roof over the path itself because of the shadow and the tree itself, giving a bit of a contrast to the shot. Alright, let's see if I can capture this nice reflection that we have because of this tree going over the river itself, and see if we can create something out of it. Alright, I'm seeing a shot possibility. I'm not going to be able to record that with two phones because I need to balance on that and get that shot. So we'll see how that goes. In the beginning of this year, I also took a trip to Germany, National Eiffel Park, because simply put, in the Netherlands we are missing out on hills and mountains especially. Arnhem has quite some hills in it, but when it comes to comparison, it's not even close. So this trip to Germany allowed me to take a lot of phones with me, including the OnePlus 10 Pro, and I got some really good shots out of it. Alright, so right now in Germany, I have to say the greenery is, well, as you expect around this time, just a bit dull. But I do like being here, having hills around you, trying to play with angles of course to get some shots in, and a really nice bridge It definitely helps just to create some depth in the shot. So that's how the camera performs. Overall, I will say that the camera is still really capable. You get 4K and 120 frames per second. There are only a few amount of phones that are actually capable of that. Not to mention that 8K is pretty useless. I'd rather have 4K and 120 frames per second. But when it comes to this phone and the camera performance, I think you can still create great shots at the end as well. And of course it also matters who is taking the shot. Let's be fair, not everyone is good at trying to decide the angle of a shot. And I'm gonna be fair, I still have a lot to learn when it comes to that as well. My compositions still need work, and I'm hoping to, of course, while doing all these pictures, to get better at it. But when it comes to the OnePlus 10 Pro, still very capable. Now of course, it is an older phone and we have the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 in it. So there's something to note. This phone does get a little bit hotter while charging really fast, which is included, unlike many other brands out there, which is included, does tend to heat up a little bit. And also when it comes to playing games, if you play for instance Genshin Impact, graphic intense games, it does tend to heat up as well. Not a crazy amount. I've had worse ones, like the Xiaomi 12 Pro, which definitely heated up a lot more than the 10 Pro, but overall when it comes to it, yes, because of the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, it does tend to heat up a little bit more. But if you want a phone that is much cheaper now, and you want it for a good price, this is definitely one of those phones that I can easily recommend. It's a good phone, software is clean for myself, and I like it overall. I will say when it comes to photography, I would advise Pro Mode, because I don't necessarily like the layer that OnePlus has on top of it. But overall, when it comes to the general performance of the phone, this is definitely still worth it. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video about the OnePlus 10 Pro, how it still performs and mainly the camera, and of course just the general review of it. If you aren't subscribed yet, don't forget to subscribe, like and everything like that. And of course, talk to you guys in the next